I've had women tell me the pain is worse than childbirth and I believe them. Askreddit on Reddit rundown. What's one thing that made you say, never effing again? And why? Living with a couple. Roommates suck in general, but 3 times in my life, I split an apartment with a couple and it was awkward at best, and truly miserable when they fought. Meth. I was a hardcore amphetamine pill addict and said, F it one night and smoked a crapload of meth. I was up for 2 or 3 days. By the last day I was well into psychosis and left town. Stayed in a hotel room for a few days to make sure I didn't become a meth addict and to evaluate what the F I was doing with my life. I didn't stop the pills immediately, but I'm never doing meth again. When I was like 11, I had some friends, the kids that lived next door, over, and we were just hanging out, playing video games all night. My mom ordered Papa John's for us. We tore the pizza up like the ravenous savages we were and continued gaming. That night the boy stayed over while his sisters and little brother went back home. We go to bed that night and at some point, one of us, can't remember who, began to throw up, which woke the other one up. My mom rushes in and helps clean up the mess. Once the vomiting stops, we go back to bed. But then before long it would start again. Just like before, sometimes I was first, sometimes it was him. Sometimes we could get to the bathroom on time, sometimes we couldn't. My mother, the saint of a woman she is, cleaned up all of that vomit. Apparently, things were no better at their house. To this day, some 15 years later, I refuse to eat Papa John's. I'm sure it was just a one-time thing, but once was enough. Long-distance relationships. My ex and I were giving long-distance a shot. It was an on and off relationship for like 3 years. I traveled 18 hours to see him, only to find out he had been cheating on me and no one from his circle even knew I existed. I cried for a straight 18 hours bus ride back home. Never fucking again. Getting an endometrial biopsy. Worst pain of my life. If I ever get cancer, they can just take the whole damn uterus out. I'm not going through that again without anesthesia. Yesterday I was in a hurry and not being very safe and put a 1/4 of an inch drill bit through my hand. Could have been 100% avoided by taking even the slightest of safety precautions, but I was frustrated and rushing to finish. Never again will I not take the simple moment to do it correctly. Alcohol and cocaine. Almost ruined my life. Started drinking at 16, started doing coke at 26, and took till I was damn near 41 to quit. Dumped my last baggie of blowout beside my garage 23 years ago and haven't touched the shit since. Making friends with people because you feel bad for them. Be nice, but no more than that is required. Pity is no reason to start a friendship and it never turns out well, neither for them nor for you. Purchased a bag of 150 mint Mentos as a study snack. Got stuck into an assignment and somehow ate the entire bag over a 12-hour period. Next day my partner and I walked our dogs down to a cafe. Stomach becomes sore while we drink our coffee. I look to the toilet, but it's a busy cafe with a single toilet. Figure I'll just wait to do my business back home, about a half-hour walk away. As we start walking back, I begin to sweat. Cramps become unbearable. Give my partner the dog lead and tell her I need to run. She doesn't know what's going on. I start sprinting. Which then makes the stomach cramps so much worse. Realize I'm not going to make it. Almost crying from the stomach cramps. See a bush. Can't hold it. Pull pants down. Don't quite succeed. Shit everywhere. Bush isn't concealed. Other dog walkers walk past and dog runs up. Mortified. Still can't stop shitting. Partner sees me. My pug happy to see me. Runs straight up and into my Mentos diarrhea. Haven't eaten Mentos ever again. It's a fun story now, but God did that day suck. Partner loves to bring it up at dinner parties. Debating on the internet. Too many people think of like a competition you can win with a snappy comeback. Too many people forget they're talking to actual people and actually try to see their side of things. Now instead I try to rationalize my position and see their side. The only problem is I still end up arguing with people who are just there to mock me or to make snappy comebacks. Peppermint essential oil. Why? My darling spouse read online you could use it on lady bits to provide a tingling sensation. Decided to do so to me. Didn't read the bit about majorly diluting it first. The result? The sensation of 1,000 fire ants biting my most intimate parts while simultaneously being submerged in lava. And since it's an oil, washing it off did jack shit. I sobbed in a half-full bathtub whilst rubbing my cooch with a towel doused in vegetable oil, the remedy, according to the internet. 0-10 do not recommend. Never again. I had my gallbladder removed after a gallstone. I thought I was having a heart attack and called an ambulance. While I waited, I started to arrange all of my finances for my wife. The hospital ran a zillion tests, told me it was a gallstone, and the only real solution was to remove the whole gallbladder if it came back. If it came back? Yup. F that crap. I told the doctor I would never go through that pain again and he could schedule me for surgery then and there. I've had women tell me the pain from a gallstone lodged in the duct is worse than childbirth and I believe them. No way was I going through that again. Attempting to catch my dog's crap in the bag rather than picking it up from the ground. Seemed like a good idea. Dog sharted up my arm. Had a long walk back home through my neighborhood covered in shit. Never again. Driving through an intersection immediately upon my light changing to green. Some asshole ran a red one day and almost T-boned me on the driver's side. Never again. I always wait for a few seconds before I start driving through an intersection, longer if there is a blind corner. Amniocentesis, having a giant needle stuck through my pregnant belly and being dug around to get a sample, triggered my fight/flight and I was sweating so much from the intensity. I didn't watch while they did it but my mother-in-law was there and started crying while they were digging around. She held my hand, looked at me with tears in her eyes and tried to calmly say, "It's okay, you're okay." I still have nightmares about it 10 years later. Open up my home to help someone. She ended up being a manipulative miserable cuss of a person who made my and my children's lives miserable. My husband, now ex, refused to see beyond her vagina and ignored his own kids' pleas for help. Kids and I moved out and he's now miserable and alone with no relationship with his kids. She left him at the first sign of his financial troubles. Extending an olive branch to my father, to make peace with him. As a child, he didn't want to know me. But I knew even then that the time would come when I would be an adult and he would want to get to know me. I tried repeatedly as I was growing to find common ground, stability, effing anything with him. Nah. I tried adopting his interests, talking to him about things he gave a crap about. Nah. I tried involving him with things I was passionate about. Nah. Well, sure enough, as an adult now that he's retired and his health isn't what it used to be, he wants to get to know me. Hell no. There is no way in hell I am letting him into any part of my life to F it up some more. 20 effing years. He had 20 effing years to get to know me until I moved away and got him out of my life. Nah, I'm good without you bro. Getting back together with an ex. If it didn't work out the first time, it's likely that it won't the second time either. Especially if that person/relationship was toxic to begin with. I took a psych medication that shouldn't have been on the market, what with its controversial history. It was definitely not right for me. It blocked and destroyed just about all of my dopamine receptors. As someone who'd never suffered from depression or anxiety in my life until that point, I would literally rather burn alive than go through this last year again. Complete lack of interest in being alive is way worse than anything else. It's been 332 days and though the worst of the severe depression and anxiety is over, I'm never going to be the same. It crushed my will to live for a long time and I almost died in the hospital. For months I kept breathing, and eating, each hour feeling like an agonizing day. If it wasn't for my wife, I'd be dead, 100%. I quit that medication cold turkey and I guess you aren't supposed to do that. Apparently, it's significantly harder to recover coming off of that stuff than hard drugs, because it does what they do, only in full. The difference being that I wasn't addicted to those pills, thankfully, not how that works. Overall, the recovery process for the stuff to leave my brain took about 300 days and now for the D2 receptors to be fully healed takes another 290 days after that. So, I have another 258 days of recovery to go. All because I did one medication trial that lasted for just 28 days. A number of people in my family, including men in the 50 to 60 age range, ended up opening up to me about their depression. I felt so terrible because I used to brush mental illness like that off, especially when I joined the army. Although I'd mocked them so they never said anything until I talked about my symptoms. I loved life and I aspire to love life again, and when I get better and get things back on track, I'm going to not be an asshole to depressed people ever again. Planet Fitness. They wanted me to come into the gym with COVID in order to cancel. The only other option was to send a certified letter, which I would have had to walk into a post office in order to send, which was equally bad. Never fucking again. I'm buying a treadmill and weight set. Drinking and driving. Thought I was fine to drive home. I got on the freeway. Went to go over one lane. Next thing I realize I've gone over 4 lanes and am about to hit the cement barrier. Scared me enough to never do it again. Trusting voicemails. Back in the mid-2000s, I got one of those scam calls saying that I owed a lot of money and needed to call them to get an account squared. I was scared and didn't want police coming after me. I was torrenting a buttload of movies and TV shows at the time and didn't want them seizing my computer. I called them up and asked them how to get this figured out, assuming that a couple grand would be worth the fines and jail time. I kept asking questions. I kept imploring for more information. I wanted to know exactly what account I was giving to, the name of my contact there, and exactly which Walmart their payment partner was distributing their money cards. I was legitimately terrified, but I think my constant questions spooked them. They said good luck in court, we're sending the police now, and hung up. That was the moment I started to realize this might not be a legitimate thing. I tried calling them back, got somebody to pick up, and when I read them back my case number and contact name, they said to stop wasting their time and hung up again. I did a bit of research, and by a bit, I mean literally 2 seconds on Google, and discovered that police and banks won't call you to resolve outstanding debts, and they certainly won't give you just 1 hour to fix it. I felt really dumb falling for a scam, but also felt really lucky that the scammers couldn't answer my deluge of questions. Nowadays, I independently verify every single thing. Voicemail, email, text. If you put a phone number or URL in that thing, I'm going to skip it and take the scenic route instead. I'll call my bank's branch directly using the number listed on their official website. I'll contact a company using their official customer service line. I'll sign into my own account using my own bookmark or search result, and not use the login button in the email. Since then, I've had very good luck avoiding scams and blocking these overseas criminals. They almost got me once, but afterwards, never effing again. Yeah, never buying weed again, after wasting nearly $500 a month on weed during 5 years of university. $500 on average per month. 12 months x $500 equals $6,000. $6,000 by 5 years equals $30,000 I wasted on weed when I could have been a smart person and saved that money in order to pay off some of my student loan debt. Note, this does not account for the thousands of dollars wasted on beer and liquor per month of those 5 years in university. If factored in and accounted for on average, then it will show that I wasted a fuck ton of my possible savings, thus leading to me to be in severe debt. Along with a bunch of other factors adding onto my debt. So, note to any future college students, don't waste all your money on weed and alcohol. Doing acid after having been up for a long period of time. Did it to myself several times, but the worst time I'd already been up for 46 hours when I dropped, and was up for another 9 or so. I was in a hotel room, to put it simply, in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We tripped at the Lauderdale beach for about 3 hours, and honestly it was a great time. What initially sent me spiraling was when we noticed we'd gotten a parking ticket, and one of my buddies tossed it out the window. 2 hours later I was furiously sweeping sand off my hotel room floor because it kept sticking to my feet. I did that for about an hour and then had a mental breakdown under my covers because I heard demons screaming and thought they were coming to take me to hell. It was muscle cars and motorcycles on the corner showing off, and passed out after every object capable of moving like a mouth was telling me to sleep. I knew I was hallucinating because the mini fridge light didn't come on when the door opened to talk. I will never drop again if I've already been awake for 6+ hours. Unless it's a half dose, but you get the idea. Skydiving. I did my first and only jump free fall with 2 instructors at the same time at 9,000 feet, i.e. no static line or tandem. In hindsight, not the best or safest idea. I had bungee jumped multiple times before, so I figured I'd handle it correctly. Well, It was an interesting day, but the part that got me was after the instructors caught up to me and stabilized me. I was reaching for the cord but couldn't seem to find it. That's when I realized that I could very possibly die if I didn't find it. Luckily either I pulled it or the instructors did. I'm pretty sure they did. But the part that really messed with me was when the chute started to open, and as the instructors weren't there anymore, that I realized that if the parachute malfunctioned, I'd be dead. I knew that it had a 99.99% chance of working correctly, but if something did happen, I wouldn't be able to stabilize myself and probably not be able to break away the main chute and pull the reserve soon enough. I didn't have time to think about any of that at the time, as I was focused on what I needed to do in case, but it pretty much took away any future plans I ever had on continuing that hobby. It's an odd feeling knowing that you literally have 5 seconds to make a decision without the experience to help yourself. Thanks for listening to Reddit Rundown. Give a thumbs up and subscribe, and help me get to 1,000 subs. Leave a comment below on what kind of topics or stories you would like to hear. You can also check out other videos on my channel. Thanks and have an awesome day.